The Return of the Gypsy King, episode 45. Let's get right into it. Very decisive conclusion to the rivalry between Tyson Fury and Deontay Wilder. Tyson Fury getting an 11th round knockout this weekend of Deontay Wilder in their third and I think almost definitely final installment. In a pure like boxing sense, I didn't need to see this fight, but it did wind up being a great fight, and I'm going to get more into that later in the episode. I haven't gotten to do an episode in a little bit, so there's a lot to get into. I wanted to just briefly touch on my experience getting to go to the fight in Philadelphia, Jesse Hart versus Mike Guy. Hopefully you guys have seen the interview I did with Mike after the fight on my page. If not, please check that out. But that was a fucking cool experience, man. I got to meet Otis Griffin, who you have seen now 2 different times on this show. I got to meet him. He was cool as shit, and shout out to Otis. Hopefully have you back on again soon, brother. Yeah, thanks for putting me on, and I had a great time getting to go to the fight. I haven't been to a fight in a really long time, and I haven't been to a local fight like that in an even longer time. So it was cool being in a small venue, getting to see some young up-and-comers, and getting to watch a higher level contender fight with Jesse Hart-Mike Guy. Jesse wound up winning the fight, but it was a great fight. Mike put up a really strong effort. Big size advantage for Hart. There was a lot of advantages that Hart had going in physically, but as a whole, I got to give a shout out to the promoter, RDR Promotions, that's doing these local fights in Philadelphia. They really put on a great show, man. It was dope. It was a really dope night of fights. And yeah, shout out to Mark Abrams for giving me a press pass. It was a great experience, getting to cover a fight. I've never gotten to do that before. So it was like a real pleasure to be, on that side of it and be at the fight, you know what I'm saying? And I look forward to doing a whole lot more of it. So, help me grow this page a little bit. If you like what I'm doing, give me a little like, give me a little subscribe. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, that was just a real dope experience going to Philly and getting to do a local fight like that. It was real cool. So yeah, thank you, Otis. Appreciate you, bro. Let's get right into this card this weekend, man. There's a lot of fights, and I'm one of those nerdy guys that was watching like the prelim shits too. So I'm gonna talk a little bit about those. But the first one I was really, really surprised about, Vladimir Hernandez getting a decision win over Julian Williams. That was a real close fight. I wasn't furious with the decision. I thought it was fair. It was a close fight. It was kind of a flip a coin fight. I could have seen a draw. But there was just a lot of rounds where Hernandez really, really out-hustled Williams in a real way. Just really out-hustled him a lot. And it wasn't all that clean, but he was just kind of in his grill and on top of him, for the whole 10 rounds. He was really on his ass. And I've always been a big fan of J-Rock. I think as far as his skill set, he's got a really complete skill set. He's a good boxer. He's got good boxing IQ. He's got good defense. He's got good speed, good power. And for whatever reason, he's just hit a rough patch. You know what I'm saying? And it's not quite all coming together. You know what I'm saying? The sum of the parts is not matching the whole, and I think he's got I don't know if it's a mental thing. I don't know if it's a physical thing. I can't entirely tell. I know it's partly because he was in with a really tough dude that wanted it badly. That didn't help. But I am surprised I was surprised even when he lost to Rosario. I thought on a skill set level, I didn't think Rosario was even close to Williams. So I think I just think that there's like a mental stamina that it takes to be able to box one strategy for a full fight, and it doesn't seem like he has that mental stamina right now. It seems like he has it in spots, and then there's other spots where, he's kind of cool to just be on the inside and kind of take shots. Maybe he blocks some of them, maybe he slips some of them, but there's just like there's a contentness. He's not switched on for a full 3 minutes. So something has to change, I think, probably. I'm not sure what that something is, but and for Hernandez, he's a rough night for anybody, and he doesn't have the greatest skills, but he's got pretty good speed, and his output is just relentless. So if you have any kind of questions about like where you're at in the sport, he's gonna push you to answer those questions. And unfortunately, J-Rock didn't have those answers. So I think that Hernandez is probably worthy of a bigger fight. I mean, his last couple wins, Angulo, and now J-Rock, these are big wins, So I think he's worthy of something more meaningful. The second fight was Edgar Berlanga just barely getting the decision against Marcelino Caceres. I think we have to stop like immediately anointing power punchers. Like, just because a guy is getting knockouts, it doesn't mean that much, actually. Having power is dope, and it's particularly, if you can mix that in with good boxing skills, you get Gennady Golovkin. You know what I mean? You get Canelo. You get Sergey Kovalev. There's a lot of guys that are great punchers that also have great technique that can set that up, right? And I think that Berlanga got it like anointed as next. You know what I mean? Because he was very exciting. He's got 16 first round knockouts in a row, and it's exciting. It is exciting. He's an exciting fighter. But I think what Caceres showed is that there's levels. There's class levels where what looks amazing and extraordinary at this lower level is not so extraordinary at this higher level. And I think for one, it's what the fight showed was that his power is great, but at a higher level, he's not able to set it up. He doesn't have the boxing acumen yet. You know what I mean? To set his shots up against higher level guys. And Caceres, he's not like a top guy, but he gave Billy Joe Saunders a hell of a fight, and he's clearly, just on that fight alone, has way more experience at the top level than Berlanga does. I don't really think Berlanga's fought, that many really serious opponents yet. This is the first serious opponent that's not just showing up. You know what I mean? I'm not saying that these guys are showing up, but you get what I mean. Like, this is the first really, really live body that he's been in with that has experience. And I think that experience difference showed. Berlanga's got a great jab. He's got great power. He doesn't have great speed, but he's got decent, quickness and pop in his punches. But I think when you get that many knockouts and you kind of get anointed culturally, if you're not getting guys out with that first couple shots, it's like, oh, well, I got to keep doing this. Yeah, bro, you got to do that for 12 rounds when you get to the highest level. You know what I mean? So I just think that it's important, and I hope this was a really good learning experience for him to get dropped, maybe get humbled a little bit. hopefully he takes this fight and it's the greatest lesson of his whole career. You know what I'm saying? Because he has a lot of talent. I've done multiple videos on him before about how excited I was about him. Still am. But I think that this fight showed in a real way like where his level is at right now as far as fighting serious contenders. And he's definitely not there. He has a lot of developing to do. And he has to be able to mix it up. I think my biggest problem with him is he has one speed on the shots. There's no touch shots. There's no quick, and then, there's no touch shots and then hard shots. There's no quick power. It's rare that you see him put more than 2 or 3 together without it looking kind of reckless. And I'm to be honest with you, I'm a little surprised with having Andre Rozier as his trainer that his skills aren't a little more refined than they are. And he's also super young. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I'm saying I think when we anoint punchers, especially young guys like this, it puts this like unrealistic pressure on them that, has nothing to do with their progression as a fighter. So I just think, I wasn't that impressed with his performance. And I think he has a lot to work on. You know what I mean? If he's the killer as advertised, like, he's got to walk through guys like this. Then this was a very difficult fight for him. I could have seen, honestly, the decision going the other way. I had it 95-94 for Berlanga. But he got dropped in the 9th round, and he's just, he's just a hair away from having a 1 on the end of that record. And then what is that? You know what I mean? In modern boxing, how much does that hurt your stock? It hurts it a lot. You know what I mean? So then moving on to the paid portion of the evening, obviously Jared Anderson smoked whoever the fuck that guy was. Jared Anderson, I think, is for real next as far as his boxing skills look super tight and refined. You could see the sparring with Fury, really paying off. Robert Helenius won the rematch against Adam Konoski. I was a little surprised at how dominant he was. I was a little surprised that Konoski never had, another gear to take it up to, because he's always been such a volume puncher. You know what I mean? The fight with Areola broke records. So in my mind, I just figured at some point, Konoski he's going to weather the storm, and he's going to be able to, impose something on this fight. And he couldn't, man. I mean, he landed a couple things, but it just seems like Helenius really had his number on a confidence level, on every level. And then, unfortunately, he started hitting Helenius low, kind of repeatedly, and he was DQ'd. He was going to get stopped any minute. It was 5-6 rounds into the fight. His face was a fucking mess, and he increasingly was vulnerable to basically every punch coming at him. Like, to me, this is one of those fights where it all kind of comes apart a little bit. And I'm not sure what he has to do to find that guy that was in the Areola fight that's just so focused in that it doesn't matter what's coming at him. His volume is just going to stay the same. And because he's not that guy right now. And it happened quick. It was like the first little sequence. Helenius threw this nice little combination and buzzed him, and he had him on a leash from there. You know what I mean? He just had him on the leash the rest of the fight. I would love to see Helenius get like a more meaningful fight. He's kind of exciting, and I know he's like an older dude. He himself was a bit of a prospect at one time. But he's a big guy, and he hits really hard, and he's actually got some pretty fast hands for a guy his size, and he moves decently. He looks like a reinvigorated fighter. And there's so many good heavyweights right now. I would love to see him. Hey, maybe him and Jared Anderson is not the worst fight to make. It gives, it's a good test for Anderson to see where he's at against the guy who's fought more top level guys. And Or maybe he fights the guy in the next fight who was Frank Sanchez, getting a unanimous decision over F.A. Ajagba. A couple of things about this fight. First of all, Frank Sanchez has some awesome skills. He's got some of the best feet of all the heavyweights, for sure. He's got really nice hand speed. He's good defense, very difficult to hit. Got that good Cuban slick style. Ajagba, I couldn't figure out what his, as much as, Sanchez was elusive, he was moving a lot, he was quick, whatever. Like, I didn't see what was stopping him from letting like any punches go. I mean, to me, this fight was a lot like Rigondeaux Casemiro. It was a better fight than that, but it's a similar idea where this very slick, defensive-minded Cuban fighter is fighting in a way that like he would typically fight, and the other guy just seems so unprepared for that. And Ajagba didn't seem prepared for that. He didn't seem capable of adjusting. He wasn't letting his jab go. And so Sanchez was kind of able to dance around him on the occasion that he would let something go. He had a counter. Sanchez had a counter ready for him and very easily outboxed him. Very easily outboxed him. I thought this was overall kind of a one-sided fight. And I think that Sanchez is legitimately a problem for anybody at heavyweight stylistically for a lot of the same reasons that Usyk is. He's more mobile than basically every heavyweight, right up there with Fury and Usyk as far as his mobility. He's got really good hand speed. He's a big guy. I think he's 6'4", 6'5". So, I mean, at heavyweight these days, he's a little on the shorter side as far as the elite guys, but he's got the size to hurt somebody if they're reckless. So I was actually very impressed with Frank Sanchez, to be honest with you. I thought he had a good fight, and because the opponent didn't, I think had Ajagba been more aggressive, Sanchez would have let his hands go more. It's just he has that counter-punching mentality where he's gonna take what you give him, and Ajagba wasn't really willing to put himself out there for basically the entire fight. You know what I mean? And then on to the main event. Finally, Tyson Fury knocking out Deontay Wilder in round 11 of the third installment of this rivalry. The first fight, if you don't know, I'm assuming you do, but if you don't, the first fight was a draw that was not really a draw, but it was a draw. And then the second fight was a very dominant win for Fury. And this past summer, Fury was signed to fight Anthony Joshua. And it turns out that Wilder was contractually entitled to a third fight with Fury. Went to arbitration. He won. And, after a couple positive COVID tests and date changes and whatever, they finally made this fight happen. The last one was February of 2020, so it's over a year and a half. And if I'm being honest, the fight didn't play out exactly how I thought it would, but it wasn't that far off, This was a great fight. This was truly a great heavyweight fight. Both guys really fucking laid it on the line. They put each other down twice apiece, I should say, before Fury knocked Wilder out. What was really interesting to me was in the first round, I could see, and we all could see exactly what Wilder wanted to do. He wanted to put that jab on his body. He wanted to throw the right hand to the body. He wanted to just keep him busy with long, straight shots, and it was working. And he did that for about a minute and a half. And then all that shit went out the window. The minute Fury stopped getting a look and started to impose himself, the jab and the activity plan of Wilder's went right out the window. I'm telling you, it was like 90 seconds, and that shit ended. And then it became a war of attrition, It's not the cleanest I've ever seen Fury box, but it became a war of attrition, and that was a war that Fury was always going to win. To be honest with you, I've said this before. There wasn't any way for Wilder to win this fight. We've already seen it play out. If they want to box from the outside, Fury's going to win that. If they want to bang on the inside, Fury's going to win that even more easily because Wilder has less room to get his power off. And credit to Wilder for making some improvements, but to be honest with you, he didn't stick with any of them. He didn't stick with that game plan for very long. It became, a more competitive version of the second fight very quickly. And he was able to drop Fury because he's the hardest puncher maybe of all time. So he's always got a chance with that. And that's usually what bails him out against other guys, That's usually that's what bailed him out 2 different times against Luis Ortiz, who's a much better boxer than he is. The power's just always been a bailout for him. And he can't put this guy away. And so because he can't put this guy away, he's always going to lose to him, And on top of that, Fury has just way more skills. I mean, Wilder's still just as limited of a boxer as he's ever been. I think I'm really seeing how a lot of times these fights are sensationalized in a sense where, it's the rebirth and we're getting the introduced to the new Deontay Wilder. Like the commentary has almost become like a sales pitch as you're going. And I even heard people say after the fight, oh, this is one of the greatest heavyweight fights. This is one of the greatest fights of all time. Like, take it easy. You know what I mean? Take it easy. It's a great fight. It's the best fight this year. But to say that it's one of the greatest fights of all time, like any of my favorite fights, there isn't a fraction of the holding that would happen in this fight. There was a lot of holding in this fight. Again, it was a great fight. I'm not saying it wasn't. It was a great fight. You could even go so far as to say it was a classic. But to say it's one of the greatest fights of all time is like, I think we've all just been inside a little too long. You know what I mean? But regardless, it was a great fight and it was a great performance for Fury. It sucks that it had to take so long for this fight to happen and for this to be really like put to bed. But I feel like the only way this was ever going to get put to bed was if Wilder just got knocked out and got beat down. And he got knocked out and beat down in this fight, and I'm not really sure where he goes from here. I'm not sure, the aura of invincibility as far as his knockout power always bailing him out, that's gone now. But at the same time, I don't know if there's anybody at heavyweight other than Fury that can go a full 12 without getting caught by him. Not one time. And with Wilder, it only takes one time. It still only takes one time. So do I think Joshua can walk that tightrope for 12 rounds? No way. Maybe the only other guy is Usyk. But I still, in my mind, even with his extreme limitations and vulnerabilities, I think Wilder can still knock just about anybody out, which is part of what makes Fury's performance so special, is that he walks when you're fighting Wilder, you're walking that tightrope. And Fury walked the tightrope, brilliantly. And took some really hard shots from Wilder, got buzzed, got put down, and it never stopped him. And he just kept coming forward, and he just had more juice and more tools that he could go to. The other thing is Wilder looked fucking crapped out after like the third round. He looked like he was like barely hanging on. So, and to be honest, it just looked like Fury kept getting more warmed up and more like loose. He was getting looser and getting better as the fight went on. And Wilder, it was just, I think the difference, and that's partly just boxing talent, but the difference is like Wilder has to really get up to get to that level. He's got to really put everything into it. Whereas Fury, he kind of just, he's always there. It's like watching, an example of that not the same thing, but when I would watch the Pacquiao-Bradley fights, it was like Bradley was having to push himself within an inch of his life to stay at that level with Pacquiao, and Pacquiao is just there all the time. You know what I mean? And I think that's what this is. He's just got his number. He's just got his number. He's got Wilder's number. He had Wilder's number. We didn't really have to see this fight to know that. But luckily for us, it turned out to be a great fight. And now what we really need to see is Fury and Usyk. And to get the undisputed heavyweight champ. I mean, that's like the only fight at heavyweight right now that really matters. That really matters. You know what I mean? There's a lot of great fights to make at heavyweight, but that's the one that's for all the fucking marbles. And if we're not making that fight, what the fuck are we doing? You know what I mean? Obviously, it was a little while ago, but I didn't get to talk about the Alexander Usyk Anthony Joshua fight. If you hadn't heard, Usyk beat Joshua, beat him by decision, almost knocked him out in the closing seconds of the fight. Completely spoils the Fury Joshua fight for the time being, but it's really not ever going to be the same. And just think about this, man. We were all just talking like 2 years ago. Cut to 2 years ago. We're all like, when are we going to get Joshua and Wilder? Well, I mean, they might want to do that now. You know what I'm saying? But like, this is where you miss out on mega fights. You get what I'm saying? You don't do them when they're hot. Sometimes you let them marinate, and it's even juicier. You know what I'm saying? But sometimes it fucking goes away. Guys lose fights. You know, that fight means like nothing now. I mean, they should, if they want to put that fight together, it's still a great fight, I think, as far as, you know, who of these two is going to get another shot. But yeah, Usyk, you know, pretty easily outboxed AJ and almost stopped him. You know, I've been telling anybody that would listen that I thought Usyk was going to beat him. I thought he just had too many tools. He's too adaptable. He's too athletic. Nobody at heavyweight moves like this guy. Nobody at heavyweight moves like this guy. I'm telling you, this guy's feet and his speed at heavyweight. He's like a Manny Pacquiao at heavyweight. You know what I'm saying? He's like Pacquiao Margarito type shit. He's just got a different speed. He moves different than these guys. Any of these guys, he's gonna give them. This is what I think. If Fury fights the same way that he fought Usyk, like at this level. Because, like I said, I thought it was sloppy for Fury. Usyk's going to beat him. I'm telling you. He's too sharp. He's too crisp. He learns on the go, you know. So, you know, I thought Joshua figured out some good work, like rounds 5, 6, 7, 8. But other than that, it was basically all Usyk. In the last 3, 4 rounds, I mean, he just pulled away. You know, and I think AJ is a little overrated. I've always been a big fan. I think he's a really good fighter. I like watching him, but I think he's a little overrated. And I think that I got to be honest. I think that Matchroom and the people around him all have like a fuck ton of excuses, and he's not at his best, and he's still learning, and da-da-da-da, and I don't know, man. I think he just got beat by a better fighter. I don't think that I think it's really that simple. Same for Wilder. I think he just got beat by the better man. Like, there's a lot of justification that goes on with Anthony Joshua, and we're not seeing the best of him or whatever. It's like, I think that he's just what he is. He's a really good fighter that has some limitations, like almost every fighter, you know. I don't know that his skills warrant his superstardom, but again, like Wilder, his power's always bailed him out for the most part. So once you get up to that elite level and that shit doesn't matter as much, then what are you, right? And both of these guys, it turns out, have some serious limitations that their power has disguised. You know what I mean? So ultimately, the fight to make in the heavyweight division is Usyk and Fury. I can't see it soon enough. And I hope they don't fuck around and wait till these guys are 40 to do it. You know what I mean? This is a juicy fight right now. This is a great fight right now. And it'll still be a great fight for another 2-3 years, but they need to make that fight happen in the next 365. Without a doubt. And it'll be one of the biggest fights in boxing, man. And I think just like I said Usyk and Joshua was one of the most interesting matchups you could make. And now that that's happened, it makes this even that much more interesting, I really think. Last thing I want to talk about was I saw that they signed Ryan Garcia and Jojo Diaz. Love that matchup. I love that matchup. I think that this is the first fight at this level that where Ryan Garcia has kind of been in a 50-50 fight. This is his first 50-50 fight. You know what I mean? This is the first time he's in with a guy who has fought pretty regularly at a higher level than Garcia. He's won at a higher level than Garcia's ever fought at, so that we know more about his pedigree than we know about Garcia's. And honestly, I haven't seen Jojo Diaz get dropped the way Garcia got dropped against Luke Campbell. So there's a lot of questions that are going to be answered in this fight. My instinct tells me that Diaz is going to win. My instinct tells me that he's got more experience and a few more tools as a boxer that he can go to, because he's been in with different kinds of guys, be it Gary Russell or Fortuna, whoever, rock him off. He's just been in with a lot of fucking elite level guys. And I don't think on a boxing tip that Ryan Garcia is going to be able to bring anything that Jojo Diaz hasn't seen. But what he is going to bring is more power than anybody Jojo Diaz has ever fought. He's going to bring a better left hook probably than Jojo Diaz has ever fought. And he's going to bring just more of a circus with him. You know what I mean? Because of his level of fame. But I love this matchup, man. I think they said it's going to be, I don't know if there's a date. I'm going to have to check that out. If anything, if there is a date, I'll put it in the description. So you guys can check that fight out. Let me try that again. That's episode 45 of the Slip and Weed podcast, you guys. I'll see you next week. Appreciate it. Peace.